I'm a person who has needed a lot of comfort and support in my life. And I don't know if I've needed that more than others or if I'm just completely aware of my own needs in a way that I can't be aware of others. But I've needed that and I've gotten that a lot. One of the most constant forms that this has taken has been in this notion of it getting better. I had a counselor in high school who told me that when I left my very small high school in Alaska, I would discover that it's a very big world and there's a place in it for me. And I would find a place where I felt comfortable, a place where I felt like I belonged. And I don't think I found that, and I don't know that I ever will, but that was a comfort to me at the time. A few years ago, there was a campaign from queer adults, celebrities, and otherwise, relating their experiences of it and it getting better. Essentially, as John Darnielle puts it, we held on to hope for better days coming, and when we did, we were right. I don't say that that's wrong, but I do know that 4 years is a very long time, especially for young people. Insofar as it gets better has ever been tenable, it feels completely untenable at this point. There's a ratio where the numerator is what we can cope with and the denominator is what we have to cope with. This notion of it gets better is focusing on the denominator, on everything that we have to deal with, those abuses, those systemic problems, and also is exacerbated by the struggle that we have to put forth, the effort that we have to put forth to change those things. That's all it. That's all the denominator. And I don't know that we can do much about that in the coming years. What we can affect is the numerator, is what we're able to cope with, how strong and resilient we can be. Interpersonal relationships are huge in this. I have some very close friends who are wonderful, who help my numerator get bolstered every day. I'm part of several online communities, and looking back, I noticed that from a very young age, from essentially the time we had access to the internet at home, I've been part of online communities, and those have bolstered me. You know, my first one was a message board for the show Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn, and I don't know any of those people still, but they were very helpful, instrumental in my finding my place in the world, and how I feel about that, and how I feel about the world at large. Really frank, honest discussions with perfect strangers initially. And I've gone on to become part of a lot of other online communities, and every step of the way, those have helped. Those have bolstered me. As far as IRL communities, I've been part of the Third Tuesday Writers Coffee House for 10 years in Owensboro, and it's always been very important to me. I valued it as a writer. I valued it for my literacy in seeing and experiencing high quality writing. And even when it wasn't something that I was interested in, it was academically interesting to me. There were a lot of times in the early years that I left thinking to myself, well, that's not the kind of writer that I want to be, or that's not the kind of writing that I want to create. But it's been very important to me in that way. Now I'm coming to realize that it's also important to me just in a community aspect. It's a place where I feel comfortable talking to other people, experiencing their writing, sharing. It's just the best, most respectful audience that I've ever encountered. And it's huge. It's a huge part of my life and a huge bolstering of my numerator is being part of this community. If you're in or near Owensboro and you need a place to be where you can be weird and you can be with other weird people and feel as comfortable as possible, please come. Every third Tuesday during the school year, we're there for you, and you can be there for us. So going forward, I think that my best advice to young people is not that it gets better, is not to focus on it and not to focus on what we have to do to change it, but to focus on communities. You can find an online community. There's 7 billion people in the world. Many of them have internet access. You're going to find people who get you in Sweden or in Japan or, anywhere that the internet gets to. There are people who have the potential of helping, who have the potential of bolstering you. And we need to focus on that numerator. I know that Tumblr is great and is a great comfort to people, but hiding in bed is all just about avoiding that denominator. And that denominator is not going away because you hide in bed for a day or a week. You've got to engage these things and see how great and resilient you can be with the help of others. I think of Walt Whitman all the time, and the sudden realization every time that I read Song of the Open Road, I am larger, better than I thought. I am larger and better than I thought. And it's because of the communities that I'm involved in, and it's because of the friends, because of these relationships that I have, that I am larger and better. And they see me as larger and better than I think. And I see them as larger and better than they think. And we help each other see that. And the compassion that I foster for my friends, I learn to turn toward myself. And that's helpful. So in the coming days, in the coming years, as it does not get better, understand that you can, that we can. We can all help each other, and we can help ourselves. And when it doesn't get better, it doesn't matter.